UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're having a wonderful Wednesday from wherever it is that you're catching this. I thank all of you that do join us during the live broadcast and all those that do watch these broadcasts much later after we done with the live episodes. Anyways, I wanted to welcome you back from the UEFA Champions League action that we did witness on a Tuesday night. There some stunning results in there. Oh, one particularly beyond our own imagination. Not in a million times would you have given me the opportunity to predict Arsenal's result with PSV. Would I have predicted a 7-1 rout for the Gunners? Not in a million times. Well, we're treated to a surprise. In the midst of a striking or an attacking crisis for the Gunners, they conjured up some magic. If luck and magic are anything to be believed beyond the world of idealism, then yesterday is what we witnessed. So, very stunning performance from the Gunners. I mean, outside Miles Lewis Kelly, who did provide by an assist in that particular game, and then went on to make some stupid tackles, which could have easily had him sent off if the referee had been somebody else other than the Spanish official that was at the center stage of that action. I'm thinking if it had been an English referee, Arsenal could have easily gone down to 10 men before even the half hour mark. So clearly, a lot went for Arsenal yesterday. Anyway, so let's discuss that result. Arsenal beat up against PSV by 7-1. We all knew coming into this game that PSV have defensive problems. They considered a whopping 28-29 goals in as many as 14 games. Prior to that fixture, we understood that. But on the backdrop of knocking out Juventus and beating them thoroughly, convincingly well, nobody would have predicted that Arsenal, in all their troubles, would come and beat up against such a side by 7-1. Anyway, it was an entertaining fixture. I thought Arsenal were perfect in so many things that they did. Of course, the minor deficiencies were not in luck for particular individuals. For example, the player pool that led to that penalty that was considered on Thomas Partey, then the Miles Lewis Kelly incident and that kind of thing. So those are unavoidable moments that were the bit of the low end, but overall it was an outrightly perfect performance for the Gunners. Urian Timber opened up the scoring, Declan Rice providing the assist for Timber to head that ball home. Of course, before that, Arsenal had already hit the back of the net, but that call had been ruled out for offside. They did not dwell on it. They had a penalty claim by Martin Odegaard, but I thought it was too minor a touch or too accidental a touch for it to be awarded a penalty. I obviously did agree with the referee's decision at the time that it was not a penalty, and VAR went on to review the incident and exonerated the referee that it was not a penalty. So clearly, sorry about that. Clearly, something had to be. Arsenal needed to, try and conjure out something, and eventually, Urian Timber does score, and then in quick succession, of course, they do get the second goal through Ethan Nwaneri, a goal made out of hell end when Miles Lewis Kelly combines with Ethan Nwaneri to double Arsenal's lead. Then PSV outdid themselves with that clumsy defending that culminated into Mikel Merino scoring the third goal of the game, and right on from there, things were never the same. So clearly, that was beyond our own expectation on the day, and it was 3-0. So by that time, in the game, Arsenal were already living in dreamland. At least it did feel that way, that they were living in dreamland, going on 3 goals to nil there before just around the half-hour mark. But like I said, Miles Lewis Kelly on the other side, he had gotten himself booked, and then he made a stupid tackle, which on another given day could have been easily given as a second booking and have him sent off. But I thought the referee was mature in this particular incident. He knew that prior to giving him the first yellow card, the player had not committed any fouls that had, given him a warning at that point. So he gave him a straight yellow card, and then we all saw that. Then for the second foul, as soon as he made that, foul, of course he misses the ball. I thought he was late for the challenge. As soon as he commits that foul, you could read it off his face as saying, "Oh God, what have I done again?" Because we all know what happened in the Premier League. He comes on as a substitute, and he's given a straight red card in that one day loss to West Ham that Arsenal did suffer at the Emirates Stadium. So clearly, he literally he held his heart in his hands in that moment, fearing that the referee was going to do the unthinkable. But I thought the interpretation of the particular incident was mature from the referee not to, issue a second booking, and eventually it left him on the pitch. And I remember making a comment at that particular time that this young man is just being reckless, and the sooner Mikel Arteta withdraws him, the better his side could be. And as we will see, subsequently, Mikel Arteta did make that change in the first half, withdrawing Miles Lewis Kelly for Ricardo Carafiori, because he knew that he could not risk it until halftime, because he knew PSV were going to try and exploit that left flank to try and get the 18-year-old to commit another error and that kind of thing, and lead him to possibly get a red card. So he took no chances and made that substitution. But before he taking that substitution, Lang had stepped up to convert from a penalty spot for what I deem to be Thomas Partey's, show of inexperience, and yet he has lots of it. Somehow in that moment he shoved his experience aside and decided to go, tag somebody during a set piece, when I do not think he necessarily had to do or commit that kind of foul. In that particular moment, you're reading 3-0. You do not want to get yourself a stupid booking. You're giving away penalty that could have been avoided, and that kind of thing. So PSG got that penalty, converted it through Lang, and it was 3-1. And then from there, of course, we went into halftime, and it was 3-1 at the time. Coming back for the second half, you'd have hoped that Arsenal's task was simple: manage the game, go forward whenever you deem the moment right, and then try and guarantee this particular win before you go into the second leg. But clearly, Arsenal had other ideas, because then they just gave it their go ahead. They gave it all in, because they risked it all. They defended quite on a high line. They pressed high up the pitch. They won those balls back and that kind of thing. And it wasn't long before Martin Odegaard, who has been a shadow of himself for the larger part of the season, came to life and scored to, make that 4-1 at the time, because it was Ethan Manelli who puts in the cross that the goalkeeper pouts in the direction or in the open play in the direction of Martin Odegaard. And I remember Declan Rice was a little further up front and basically pointed in the direction in which Martin Odegaard should put that ball pointed him in the spot where he should put that ball beyond the goalkeeper's reach for what would have been maybe a magical save had the goalkeeper had the reflexes to pull it off anyway. So he made it a 4-1, and quite in incredible style. And then Ricardo Carafiori, who was a first half substitute turned provider when he made the assist for Leandro Trossard to get himself on the score sheet. Another player who, for me personally, in the first half, I mean, was quiet, had been kept quiet for the better part of the game in the first half. So he came to life in the second half and buried his opportunity and made it 5-1 for the Gunners, which literally sent a good number of PSV fans packing. Yet the game was still young because that was as early as the 48th minute, just 3 minutes into the second stanza of the game. So clearly, it's not the kind of scene that perhaps PSV fans would have hoped to have coming into this particular fixture. It's not one that they had anticipated they would have to witness, but it was increasingly growing, embarrassing for the fans, for the PSV fans, and some decided to leave very early because they were seeing no way back for their team. They were seeing how Arsenal managed to limit their attacks and that kind of thing. So, it, and then of course in there, Gabriel Magalhaes missed a clear-cut chance to a set piece to make it 6-1. He headed that ball, wide of the mark because he headed it into the ground and it went out. But Declan Rice floating in that corner. It was a very decent set piece opportunity for Arsenal to redeem their glory as far as set pieces are concerned, but they did miss that opportunity through Gabriel Magalhaes. Nonetheless, they still continued with their attacking force on the day. Once again, their captain, Martin Odegaard, showing up to score to make it 6-1, of course, and then in that moment, we're starting to see the Martin Odegaard that we saw last season, not the one that did return from a 2-month-long injury at some point in this season. So he was saying, yeah, I can be good. And in the post-match, media duties that they did do, he did take critique to himself to say, this season I've not been good enough. Although eventually he was rightly so voted man of the match because he backed the press, and I think about an assist in that particular game. And then, of course, for the 7th goal, Martin Odegaard with an outside foot pass that he did play into the path of Ricardo Carafiori, who, by the way, struck that ball with precision, with finesse, without even looking at the goalkeeper, without even looking at the goal. It was more like a striker's instinct in that moment when Martin Odegaard placed the pass to him, because he simply sliced that ball into the direction of the goal without looking, and only looked there to watch the ball hit the back of the net before he went off into celebration. So it was a 10 out of 10 performance, but the small personal hiccups that I did witness for me personally, the only criticism I have were 2 moments. I think were about 3 or 4 moments. Miles Lewis Kelly's, lack of experience showing in the way he makes his challenges. Yes, we understand he's passionate, but I think he needs more and more guidance from those senior players, the likes of William Saliba, Gabriel Magalhaes, and the likes. Not to say they are more mature than him, but I think they're more experienced than him, and they should be able to provide that guidance for him in the manner in which he commits himself to tackles, because he's done that. He's already had 2 red cards, although one was an injustice in the Arsenal's game against Wolverhampton Wanderers. We do remember that. Of course, it was lifted. He did get another one against West Ham, and yesterday nearly got another on the day. So clearly, he needs to, work on himself in that respect. On the other hand, the other nego that I did observe was that incident of Thomas Partey that led into the penalty. Then the other bad, episode I did witness, there's a moment, there's about a moment or two in the first half when Martin Odegaard, tries to play a through pass when you do not think he necessarily has to do that. That in that moment, he needs to take a shot at goal. He needs to take the attempt by himself. Basically, yes, I know he's in the format of a creator like Mesut Ozil, that he wants to create more and score for himself. I do understand that. But in certain areas, in certain positions, in certain moments of the game, you ought to be selfish and take the moment for yourself and try and strike that ball. So, on to incidents in the first half, I thought he did not do that, and I did critique him for those things. But in the second half, for his second goal, he clearly took that that bit of advice to himself and took the shot. And look where it landed him. It resulted into Arsenal's sixth goal on the night. So a very, very impressive performance. Of course, David Ware beyond the penalty. On the other side was hardly troubled. Arsenal played a very high line, which for me, I oftentimes feel is very dangerous to play, because the way in which they play is you have your left back, moving further up the pitch. Then you have your right back inverting in midfield, so that when Declan Rice moves forward, you have a right back and maybe a Thomas Partey forming that shield of the two, and then your the two centre backs. And then, of course, depending on what the moment in the game is, Thomas Partey suddenly tends to push further forward and that kind of thing. And then suddenly Arsenal look very, very vulnerable on a team that can counter very well. And I do think they will have to worry about that kind of play going into the weekend when they face off with Manchester United in that, gigantic rivalry between the two sides, as we've historically come to know of it. Anyways, I want us to move forward and speak matters Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid, the Madrid derby in the UEFA Champions League. Like we had spoken in the preview, we did give Real Madrid the edge overall, not because they are a much better squad present day than Atletico, but you thought that their experience, their pedigree would show, and it's Carlo Ancelotti. I mean, whenever you meet him in the UEFA Champions League, regardless of what team he's having, you can never, write him off. And he did show us that as Real Madrid beat up against Atletico Madrid by 2-1. The goal scorers being Rodrigo, scoring a very, very brilliant goal to give Real Madrid the lead. And then Atletico Madrid's summer signing in Julian Alvarez, responding in spectacular fashion to, restore parity. Very, very two brilliant goals in that first half that we did witness. Thibaut Courtois, just so that ball fly past him as Julian Alvarez restored parity. And of course, Brahim Diaz did make the difference when he scored early into the second half to make it 2-1. And then Real Madrid were able to hold on to that. That eventually turned out to be the match-winning result. Overall, I thought it was a game of caution. Both sides did not want to overcommit themselves, knowing how dangerous each other can be on the other should you overcommit yourself. They were all alive to the dangers of one another, so they did play with that bit of caution. They did play with a bit of a handbrake on, if you could interpret it that way. And we do wait for a very entertaining second leg at the Wanda Metropolitano next week on Wednesday when the two sides meet again. So those were the results from those two fixtures. In the other result, Borussia Dortmund did share the scores with Lille Metropole in a 1-1 draw on the night, while in the earlier kickoff for the night in the UEFA Champions League round of 16 knockout stages, Aston Villa managed to overcome Club Brugge by 3-1 there. Aston Villa, of course, taking the early lead through Leon Bailey, because that goal did come as early as the 3rd minute of the game, and Club Brugge did respond in a space of about 9 minutes through the Cooper there to make it 1-1. And then, of course, unfortunately for the home side, they did concede an own goal late on. This is in the 82nd minute through Michele before conceding the penalty 6 minutes later. That Marco Asensio did step up to convert. We had spoken about his experience having won the title with Real Madrid, that and that kind of thing. And we did speak about the experience of the manager in Unai Emery and Aston Villa to give them that bit of edge over in this fixture. And clearly, they did show it on the night, winning 3-1 on in that fixture prior to the return leg that does get underway next week on Wednesday for the reverse fixtures. Anyways, the UEFA Champions League action does continue tonight with Inter Milan up against Feyenoord. Feyenoord, the ones at home. That game will kick off at 8:45 p.m. That's East African time for you guys. And then we will have Bayern Munich up against Bayer Leverkusen. And then we will have Benfica up against Barcelona. We did know that Benfica tried to trouble Barcelona at the group stage level, but Barcelona did come from, I think, 2 goals down to win that particular game. And I do not expect any difference in terms of application for Barcelona this time on. Maybe they may not want to concede as early on and many goals, but clearly I do give Barcelona the advantage in this particular fixture, while the other gargantuan game will be between Paris Saint-Germain, who are, by the way, unbeaten in the French League One. I think they only have 5 draws. They are leading the table with about 13 points. So clearly, somebody is waiting to ink their name to the French League One title there. So they do face off with an on-form Liverpool. I think arguably the best team as far as form is concerned in Liverpool, because Arne Slot has been quite a revelation for the Reds there. Mo Salah will have to step up if Liverpool are to have a chance at Parc de France, while Ousmane Dembele will also need to equally step up if Luis Enrique's side are to make a statement in front of their home crowd. So the expectations are high for that particular game, just as much as they are for that between Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen. We're talking about a Bayer Leverkusen side that only lost 1 game last season, losing to Atlanta in the finals of the Europa League. So Marcos Xabi Alonso still has the core of his team. Of course, they've always cancelled each other out in recent times, as far as domestic meetings are concerned. So if it's a draw, I wouldn't be surprised, but I still give Bayern Munich the edge in this one, because we're talking about a team that has won this competition as many as 5 times, and then really pedigrees on their side. Never mind that their manager is still as fresh as they come as far as the UEFA Champions League managerial career is concerned. So do let me know what your thoughts are, what your predictions are, and what you think. Do not forget to leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe to the channel if yet new. Like I keep saying, I do appreciate you for those of you that join these live broadcasts, and those of you that watch them much later after we are done here. So do let me know what your thoughts are, what your predictions are for those particular UEFA Champions League fixtures. Just to run you through, my expectation is for Inter Milan to go beat up against Feyenoord, despite Feyenoord being at home, even under the new charges of a new manager in Robin van Persie, former Arsenal, Manchester United, a player there, also did play for the same club. That's why he left to join Arsenal. I do expect Simone Inzaghi's side to overcome Feyenoord, and then Bayern Munich against Bayer Leverkusen. Could be Bayern Munich winning that one 2-1 or ending in a 1-all draw, but Bayern Munich there. And then Benfica, Barcelona 4-2 in favor of Barcelona, maybe 4-1. And then Paris Saint-Germain versus Liverpool. Bit of a hard one. The tactical prowess of Luis Enrique. Could he get one over Arne Slot? It's a bit of a difficult one to call, but I'll go with the 2-1 advantage for Paris Saint-Germain. Otherwise, Stay blessed, and I'll see you next time. Do not forget to put down your predictions down in the comment section. I'll see you next time.